All right, so you got the job. What's first on the priority list? What are we trying to do at Williamstown High School right now?
So first things first, I need to start meeting with the kids and start developing that connection. I think that's the main thing, and one of the things I've been telling people, one of the strengths of mine is, having that ability to connect with the kids and have a relationship that's a two-way street. You have your boundaries on what things you want to do as a coach in terms of, you have certain beliefs, but I think especially in today's game, you have to have the ability to adapt all the time. And one of the things in order to do that is to really have, an open dialogue with the kids. You could have your philosophies, what you want to do, but you have to have a little bit of back and forth. So main thing is starting to build that relationship with the whole program. Because again, like as the head coach of the varsity, you run the whole. You're not just the head coach of a varsity, right? You're running the program. So I think as a coach and all the other coaches I'm going to bring in, we have to lead from the front. I think it's really important. We have to set an example for the kids. I think there's a certain way of doing things. I'm a little old school in some ways, new school in others, kind of like a hybrid. But, my style, again, like an old school point of view is, we're shirt and tie before the games, right? I think that just sets a little bit of a tone, like it's a business-like. I think gets the kids in a different mindset. They've done that from St. Joe to St. Augustine. I think that really kind of helps, even for the coaches, to wear shirt and tie during games where nobody really does that anymore. It's kind of going out. But, again, that's number one, is starting to really develop that relationship with the kids. Because if you don't have that, you don't start to get their respect. And
I thought that you said it like as a hybrid. Like, I think in today's game, you have to adapt. And I think some of the older coaches, they're phenomenal, but they also they're too antiquated and they haven't adjusted to the times. You come in at the perfect time where you're young enough, but you're old enough. You're young enough to know how the social media works. You're young enough to know the power of those things and the danger of those things. You also know how to have correct and like guidelines to and like train tracks of the things that we're not going to leave. And these are things going to make us winners. But in the meantime, you're young enough and cool enough, that you can get people on board with you.
For sure. Part of the thing is that we do have to. I have a way of doing things. Like we have to. They've had some success in the past. So I want to just establish our footprint of what we're going to do. Have a little bit of a different culture. Take the things that I've liked from over the years and put my spin on it. And have an opportunity to do that is pretty unbelievable. And the main thing though is you really got to it's the relationship with the kids. You can talk X's and O's all day, but it's about, from every coach that you get, you have to have that certain relationship with the kids where it's a respectable one. They respect what you're saying, but there's also they have a say in what's going on too. I think you got to be flexible. If you're not constantly adapting, I think that's kind of sometimes you get a little bit left behind. But as somebody who's been around, I have an old school mindset on a lot of things, like I said. But in terms of philosophies and all that stuff, culture, the main thing is establishing a different kind of culture that I think we're going to try and do, and something that's going to last here. I'm not here for just a year or two and looking to go to a college job. This is what I want to do. This means a lot, and I want to build Williamstown into something that hopefully within 5 years we're playing. You want to have like a national type schedule. You want to be like, and Williamstown I think could do that as a sleeping giant. It's a great area. It's a great district. I really think it's possible. But again, it starts a day at a time when we get in here, that it's really establishing a certain type of culture that you have to do, because I think that's the most important thing. And then you can get to all the basketball stuff in particular. But It's about getting the whole group to buy in and you want people to really want to play for you.
Right.
So that's up to me and the other coaches.
What I think is a neat thing that I should say about you, which you won't say about yourself, you're a successful businessman, and you come from a successful family of business people, and you don't need this job. You do this because you love it. Some people really need that extra stipend or whatever. You don't. You're dangerous because of that. I've seen you invest your own money into the St. Augustine's program, your own money, right out of your own pocket into the St. Augustine's program because they needed help in certain areas. I know how that you and your family are about the quality. If I ever met anyone that was about quality, it's the Dandreas. And when I see like the things that you are wanting to bring on as you start, and we talked about you bringing on a coaching staff and bringing in specialists and consultants to help you to run the program, but also help your kids too. So Tim Watson being a coach that does mental preparedness, rumor is that you guys are going to start working together, and I think that's going to be a huge plus for you and your program.
Yeah, I think he's especially if you haven't watched his interview with you guys, I mean, that's like when that was the first time an introduction, I would watch that, and I think he's excellent, and I can't wait to get him to help me establish some things, I think, on the mental side of it, because we're trying to develop these kids into young men at the same time, but get them ready for real life situations where stuff isn't always easy. It's, I've been through a lot too. Everybody's been through, there's tough times. So how do you react during those tough times? I really want to see what some of these guys are made of. So like these kids have also been through some tough stuff, but you can do a few different things about it. You can pout, you can get upset, you can beat yourself up, or you can really start to train your mind in a certain way. And I think that's what I'm trying to do as well. It's not just basketball. If you think it's just basketball, it's just incorrect. It's really about helping these kids. My goal is to have every kid go to college and every kid not pay for college that comes through. Is that going to happen? Probably not, but that's a goal in terms of you want everybody to get a scholarship. But, that's a tough one. And there's about under 2% of kids can get, even at the D1, D2, D3 level, play college basketball. So it's a blessing if you have that opportunity. I've been blessed in order to coach a lot of kids who have played over the years at different levels of basketball. So, for me, it's more of you got to help develop these kids into young men. You can say that, but what are the action steps to actually accomplish that? And that's why bringing in someone like a Tim Watson, I would love to, can't wait to get to work with him, and bring him in, start having these, meetings with kids all the time, let kids feel comfortable with what we're doing, and let them know that we're not just here, we care about them off the court. We really do. Yeah. And that's what I did. That's one of it is like, oh yeah,
I've seen you do it firsthand. I've seen you walk people over to our facility to make sure they're and checking on them all the time and make sure if how they're doing, are they showing up to lessons, this and that, and you're just, I've known you since you were a little kid, and I know that's the type of a person you are, and you trying to be a father figure to a lot of kids, it goes a long way. When I was, I didn't have my dad around growing up, so my coaches, I made up my dad out of a mixture of all my coaches. They were like big brothers to me, like probably you're a little bit of both. Exactly, you're like their big brother, but also a little bit of like you're not old enough to be their dad, but maybe their big brother. Yeah, and so they're gonna follow you. I just know you have that electric personality and the really inviting, like not intimidating, but also like you're about your business, and you're gonna have to you're a perfect hybrid, like we said earlier, and I think that you're gonna be a dangerous weapon, just like anybody that you don't need something. You already are a successful business person, right? You don't need this. You do this because you love it. So they can't scare you away with money. They can't scare you away. No, you're not. You can't be bought. This is what you're doing. You're doing it because you love the game and you love these athletes. I can tell you personally that when I see somebody like you, as passionate you are, you have all this business stuff to do. What do you care about most? Basketball. You care. It always is what you care about.
Yeah,
so
it is a passion.
It's neat.
And something my dad always said, you got to follow your passion like that. I think that's how you get good at things. If you're doing it kind of halfway in, halfway out, you're just not going to. You could be okay and get by, but you're just not going to be great. And I do want to be great. There's goals that I want for the program, but like you don't get into the coaching, high school coaching, for personal accolades or, like you said, financial gain. That's not why you do it. I want to bring the community together there. That's the goal. I really want to bring the community, the school, everybody. I want to get people excited again about Williamstown basketball. I think it really can happen. I really do. And I mean, I have people who supported me like you throughout, since I've known you 15 years now, who've, been telling me I could do this, and maybe at times years ago, I'm like, I'm cool as, just as an assistant, but you're like, man, you maybe should think about taking it maybe a step further, and I appreciate that, that support when sometimes, early on and you don't know yet, and you've always kind of been there, and I always appreciate that, so.
It was a neat philosophy that you had, because I was like, here's a kid that is playing just so he can become a better coach. So we have like one other student that told me that he's like, I don't care how good I don't care about going to the NFL or anything like that. I just want to learn how to coach well, because that's what he wants to do, even since the time he was a little kid. And you're the other one, so you actually have way more coaching experience, because that's what your main goal was, always to be a coach, which is the neatest thing ever, which gives you years and years of advantage, where other people were just trying to be the player while you were thinking about philosophy, psychology, relationship building, schemes, all those things. You were thinking about that and how that works and the science behind that for many years. We've had many of these talks and everything. So
Yeah,
I
for
always
sure.
knew you were going to be a coach, and not just a coach, but a great coach.
I appreciate that, Dave.
Talk about your dad a little bit. Ron was your dad, Ron Dandrea. I mean, there was a parade for your dad when he passed away. There was during COVID and everything, and he was one of the most respected people at St. Augustine's Prep in the Vineland area. I've never seen anything like the love and the outpouring that you've had for your dad. Talk about your dad and his influence on your game and your as your coach.
Everything. I really appreciate that, Dave. Yeah, I mean, everything. He was everything kind of influenced for me. So anything I've really done, he's been behind. Even when he's not here, he's still been, I feel, behind me, kind of pushing me in a certain way. And main thing, I know a lot of things, he was always busy. That was the thing. He was always keeping busy, but he coached me. And I watched how he interacted with people on a day-to-day basis. And, it's just not, you can be successful in business, but how are you at a personal level?
What's up, baby?
Right. Yeah, it's right, the relationship. So I believe a part of what a really important part of what my beliefs, like I told you, is that relationship, that connection with people. I got that subconsciously through him, watching him with his friends. And, I think you're here for a short amount of time sometimes, right? And to get a reception like he did, and it was during COVID, so we couldn't have traditional kind of thing, but setup. But at St. Augustine hosted a year after, coming together, a celebration of life, and that was thanks. I can't thank them enough for that. But that was really, really special, and everyone was up there and able to talk a little bit. So that was kind of a year later. But to watch, and I have so many people come up to me, and to this day still bring up my dad, and he's passed 3-4 years ago now, all the time. I mean, that's what life's about, to leave that kind of legacy. That I hope to pass on, through my son. And my son's 4 years old. So, you
got a ball boy right away.
Oh, yeah, I'm putting in the work, man. Just he's going to work. He's going to work already, but he loves it, and he has that passion and for it already at 4 years old. His middle name's Ronald, so, of course, after my dad. So, there's a part of it that I think he's been my biggest influence in everything I do. His main thing was really just how you treat people. He said, I don't care how much money you have in the bank, it doesn't matter. How do you treat people on a day-to-day basis? So, you just make them. My dad had a special way of making people feel really warm, making people feel welcome, but not fake about it. It was completely genuine. And if I could take just a little bit of that, I always said, if I can just be a little bit of who he was, I think I'm doing a pretty good job.
I remember him. I remember being at your house and coaching you at your house, and you'd have the guys doing the lawn out there. He'd be out there massaging their shoulders, bringing them waters, talking to them about sports and everything like that. Hey, putting their arm around them, everything like that. That goes such a long way. Coach Vermillion used to do that all the time. You just see him out there with the landscaping guys, and with everybody around him just loves them.
Like you talked about early on, I think we were talking, there's no ego. I mean, you have to have something that drives you, but if you have an ego where you think you're better than somebody else, I never could really understand that. You got to have, you could think highly of yourself to have confidence, which is good, but you can't let that linger on and think you're better than people. My dad had that ability to just always be at the same level with people no matter what. His ability to relate to anybody. And like I said, I took a lot of that, and I take a lot of it, and I'm trying to pass that to my son. And listen, if I can give lessons to the kids that I coach, and I've had great relationships with the kids I've coached from 2016, 2015 on, since I graduated college, and I love the ability. I think the best part about it is I still have a relationship with those kids so many years later that I can call up today, and just talk about and go hang out and go grab lunch. And I think that's why you do it. Yeah. Those relationships. But my dad was a huge part of that, and helping me understand that it's more than just X's and O's and dollar signs. People are, that's what life's really about, is that relationship.
One of the greatest images I'll ever remember is a guy, one of the guys was out, you have a big yard, lots of hills on it and lots of steps on it and everything. The guy was really tired. And he just saw him sitting outside, and we're outside training on the basketball court. Oh, yeah. And he goes up behind the guy, rubs his shoulders like that, brings him out a water and drink, goes, "Oh, you're doing such a great job. Look at this place. Look at how great a job you did." And the guy was like, "What?" I never expected Ron Dandrea to come out and tell me what a great job. You could see him the way he would work after that was just that was love. That was love for the people around him. And I mean, I can't say enough about what I've learned that if I ever become as successful as Ron Dandrea, I'm going to treat people that way. And Coach Vermeil taught me that as well. So I have two of the greatest. I look at him as a father figure, even though he probably never thought that. But I really do. And I think that the fact that you grew up with that and you're not going to give anybody less than that. I know you don't, because I've already seen you. We've talked about this. For you to invest your own personal money into a program and into children that are trying to do their best and give them the best opportunity, didn't come from school, didn't come from anyone. That came from your heart. That's what the way Adam Dandrea is, and I couldn't be more proud that you're going to have this job. I'm almost jealous that you're not like going to be coaching my kids somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Well, maybe, some training stuff like this I can do. But no, Dave, I appreciate that, man. Because, again, it's not just – there's a lot of different people. Like, you're a huge influence for me, too. You've always has been, and especially the last 3-4 months. You started getting back into shape, and I was struggling. You got me back, man. So and
I don't do that. I don't even do that. But I'm like, but that's how much love we have for each other. It's like, I'm only working with you. I know. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'll do it. I'll do my best.
Man, I can't thank you enough for that on a personal level, because, I feel great since then, sticking with it and really pushing me to become a better person, not just when we're doing our workouts, but just off that kind of stuff, dude. So, I appreciate it, David.
I cried when you got the job. So, also, let me ask you something. What do you expect, or what is your expectations for your assistant coaches?
They have to be exactly the same kind of philosophy, I believe. We need to, my thing that I told them was already that's starting the process. So you have to lead from the front. You have to be good people. I want good human beings all around the program. I think you have to set an example. I've been on staffs where, it's been a different group of people, and, different groups work. Some kids gravitate towards certain people, but the thing that the consistent that works is if you bring good people around, just good, solid people, I think you can figure the rest out. And, for me, if we're trying to start a different kind of culture, just a little build, take the things that worked there in the past and maybe tweak a few things that didn't. But if we're trying to set a culture as a new, whole regime coming in here, I think the main thing is to just get really good people in here who are going to be role models. Not just basketball coaches. I want people that they can develop their relationship with the kids as well, so they can have that because that's what I was able to do for the last 8-10 years. And I think that's so important. It's not just me doing it. There's so many different factors in this, and the assistant coaches are really big. That's why I'm taking my time with this, because I want to get the right people around who I know are good people who are really going to care about the kids, who don't do anything for financial gain. It's really just you're putting your time into this. You're giving the kids. You got to show the kids you care, and that's the main thing. If you show that, they'll give you everything back, and that's a really big what I look for. Just really have to be a solid person that I trust, and that it takes a while. And then you got to gain the trust of the kids.
Perfect. What's your philosophy on off-season practicing and off-season conditioning, everything? Talk about that setup.
Well, I want to get you guys involved somehow, but that.
I might have selfishly plugged that.
I know, because I know. Well, it is the truth. I think it's what you guys is. I know. I see how you really help a lot of kids. Especially with groups of kids. I think it's really important to stay structured. So you have to have structure. People are. You got to coordinate with other coaches. I think you have to have constant communication with other coaches in your school. And Williamstown being a bigger school, you got to always be on the same page to start that dialogue. So you respect their rules for their time, and then they can respect your rules. So what we have for our gym time, I try to get summer's difficult for basketball because they have a lot of travel basketball, AAU basketball, things that you have to kind of work around. But there are a few non-negotiables that we're going to try to when you first get in there, and that's at least 2 to 3 days a week going to be some form of conditioning, some form of skill work, run up and down a little bit. But also I wanted to start with the mental side of it. Right. I think that's really important. Start to get them to believe a little bit about how we're going to do things. Start to buy in. So when the time September, October hits and school starts again, we're already a little bit of ahead of the game. Not really worried about X's and O's at this point. You got to develop the kids, and with the skill work, we can get the X's and O's. A lot of people can do that, but it's really the hard work is really kind of to make them start to believe what you're doing, what you're saying, from me, from every coach down, and start to create that culture and structure that they feel like they can succeed in. Because anything that I've seen, any company, organization has good structure where it has the ability where you can kind of rise up through it, and you can feel like it kind of helps with by the days that go on and on and on. You can be like, okay, I feel like this is where something I can grow into. Right. That's what my goal is, to have something where they feel comfortable. They're enjoying their time here. You want to have fun doing this too.
Right.
Let's not get it twisted. You want to have fun doing this. You don't want to be miserable coaching or playing basketball. So it's my job to kind of set the temperature of the room there and make sure everything's pretty clean, clean cut. Expectations are good. Communicating to these every single kid that comes through what we expect, and that's going to be, you got to give it your all. You have to play. You got to play hard. You're going to have to work hard. You cannot expect results to happen overnight if you don't work at it. That's my one thing. I'll ask the kid straight up. Do you actually? I see you practice this shot. Do you practice it though, on your own time, or you just do it in here? No, you got to put time into it. You want the kids to be invested fully. So it's our goal this summer is to just get the kids to start buying into what we're going to start to really preach as a culture standpoint and structure standpoint.
How about your community? Let's talk to you. You're going to be, now you have the head coach job at a big high school like this. You're kind of like a little bit of a celebrity. Now you're going to have to start shopping at the local. You're going to have to shop a lot in Williamstown. I know you live close by.
Yeah, right
your family's from there. So name a couple spots that are probably, supportive of you already, and that you kind of local, that you could see Adam Dandrea at. Let's see.
Well,
where do you like to go eat out there?
Well, I did get this at Walmart. I said Walmart, Walmart's big enough, but they have a bunch of these shirts, like every kind of one of these kind of like the CVS, the Walgreens, they kind of have all these kind of things. No, but in town, I'm already. So I lived in Williamstown for a few years when my son was born. And again, there's a lot of my philosophies. I just want to be around. Like the library is a huge spot. It's a lot of old school, people in there. Which like some of the waiters there are kids that have been to go to Williamstown. The Dairy Fresh there is a huge ice cream place that a lot of the teams go to after. It's been there for the longest time. Places like that who are you want them to feel good about you got to have this as a community. My goal is that I already been telling people is that you need the community to feel good about. You want people to come out to your games. I want to try and get the gyms filled up with people who really are genuinely rooting for you to do well, and not by you I mean the kids. Like they want to see the kids succeed, because there's nothing more fun than winning when everything's going well and everybody's fired up. But you really got to get the community involved with this, certain things. There's a lot of different kind of fundraising that we're going to have to do. We're going to start to do like at a local level, even with the shop rates and kind of things like that. But really, like Geets Diner, places like that are just kind of staples in town that you're going to have to start to, that you're going to frequent a little bit more, and but definitely not a celebrity. But you got to show.
I'm from the mainland community, and all the head coaches that you see them out, you're like they're taking. You're all over. As a matter of fact, the menus on many of the local restaurants have the coaches' names as they have their own sandwich, they have their own soups or whatever. I have my name on a couple places too.
Well, you're a mainland legend, so it's different. But
I know some of those mainland coaches. You go to Rosie's Garden. Whatever that place is, Garden Salads or whatever. They have all the coaches are named on there. You ever go to any of the Point Diner or whatever, you're going to see people's names on there. It's neat, so these are the type of things that I know that you're just good at work in the community. I know you're already doing it right now. You've already started shopping out there more and everything like that.
Yeah, and that's the goal. Yeah, that's the goal, is to be really involved, and so people do recognize your and start to kind of get behind you a little bit, because it does take a lot more than just what your little group of guys. It takes everybody in town. I really want to get everybody excited about it, and it may take time. It's going to take time. It's no secret to that. There are no shortcuts. I firmly believe there are no shortcuts. But if we do this really a week-to-week, day-to-day kind of process, and it's more than just coaching on the court. It's going, like you said, into the community, getting people excited. That's my goal. I want people to be excited again about Williamstown basketball. And I think we really are in a good position. There's a good freshman class coming in. There's some good 7th and 8th graders coming up, and I think there's some players coming back who I think there's some injuries last year. I think that's why they had kind of a little bit of a down year. I think there's no reason to think we can't get this right, and get people excited again. But I don't want to put the cart before the horse. It's going to take some work.
Well, the one thing that you also have as a weapon for you is that you don't have a traditional teaching job where you can't go out and recruit in the off season. I know you do that really well. You did that really well for St. Augustine's, and I know you're going to do that here, so people don't leave the community to go out to private schools and just to keep them right here. So, I know that you will see Adam Dandrea at your games. You're going to see you'll see him around and checking you out and trying to, try to schmooze you a little bit to come and join a team that It's a two-win team last year.
Correct.
So it's going to take some convincing. You know what I mean? That you're on a different path, which you already are. But you're going to have a lot of people supporting you, including me, including Coach Watson, and including all of your family, which is a big, powerful family. And I know you have the love of all of your players that you ever coached that will be there for you as well. So I'm sure all you need to do is reach out and to any of us, and we'll be there for you.
Well, I feel that, and I do appreciate that, because it takes a village. It can't just be, it's never just going to be one person doing this whole thing. So, that it really, I appreciate that support. I wouldn't have been able to kind of get to where this opportunity came up if it wasn't for you people like you guys and former players learning things, different coaches. So I'm just very appreciative and blessed to even have the opportunity to go back to my family's hometown and hopefully do some special things here. That's the goal.
So how do you celebrate victories?
You got a 24-hour rule.
Okay.
You got to keep it loose. I think you have to keep it loose. You have a big game. I mean, they're tough to come by. I mean, they are. Like everybody tells you, especially you being more football, right? You understand you see how teams celebrate a win, even though it's like early in the season. You got to enjoy it. But as soon as we get in the gym the next day, it's done. I'm not one that
Good
ever.
rule.
You have to be. It's got to be done. But enjoy it. But that means don't go crazy at night afterward. Like putting stuff on. Again, not on social media. Like kids. That's why you got to really help kids develop that way, because that's a main part of it too. You don't want to go too overboard with anything you do. My thing is to try and stay as even keel as possible. Me, I'm not a yell. Me, I'm not a yeller, screamer kind of coach like that. I get a little fired up here and there, just when I defend the team, like the kids. But I'm not a yeller, screamer type coach or person in general. I don't think I scream more than 3 times in my life. So it takes a lot to get that out of me. So but in terms of celebrating wins, enjoy them because they're tough to come by. And you just, as soon as for me though, it's going to be, and the other coaches, as soon as I get home, start watching film already for the next day, and kind of get to work that way.
How do you handle a loss?
Same way, you got to stay even keel. In the past, there have been times when I was just kind of starting, I would be really down. I'd be beat myself up. And if I had good coaches around me, or like Coach Paul Rodeo Jr. at St. Joe would be I need you here, you're important, and he would help bring me out of some of the funks that you get early on, because I was living and dying by the losses, and these are the lessons I've learned. I'm not afraid to admit that, because any coach really gets really into it during the year. But I was you can't let it linger into the next day. So especially now, it's got to be very even keel. Loss, there's certain losses that are more frustrating than others. If there's a lack of effort you perceive, or if there's something you think's going on, you may be a little frustrated. But again, it's about that. That's where I really want to test myself and the other coaches and the kids. What is it going to look like when you lose a few in a row?
Right. What's
it going to look like when you're down 17-4 to start a game? Are you going to pack it in, or are you going to buckle down, dig in deep, and go a little harder? That's the mindset that I'm trying to build, because it's too easy to fold in anything you're doing, business, life, coaching. It is very easy to fold and kind of just put your chips and say, I'm done, and then let's punt on this one.
Right.
No, but that's not the culture I'm trying to create from kid to kid. And so hopefully it lasts more than just basketball on the court. You get a bad grade on a test, how do you respond? Are you going to mope about it, or are you going to go and study 3 times harder on the next one?
Right.
That's up to the kid, and that's up to the person. But that's the lessons we're trying to teach and change that mentality just a little bit, one day at a time with that. But I think it's important.
Last but not least, how about your parent policy? How do you deal with your parents?
So a thing that I thought was really interesting is, a lot of people say, and that's the good way to phrase the question, because some people say, how do you handle parents, or how do you deal with parents? I think in today's age, you have to partner with parents. I think that's really important. By that, I mean you have to be an open communicator with them. But you also have to have boundaries. I don't need the phone call at 10 p.m. after a tough loss for asking a few questions. At that point, I think that's them. We got to respect each other's boundaries. I will always have an open door policy. My phone will always be on, but there is, during the season especially, there's boundaries you have to have, because I put it in my shoes. If it was my son, I'd want to know if there was something that was perceived to be maybe going wrong, and they want to have a conversation. More than welcome to have a conversation, and at all times. However, there is a 24-hour rule with that we have as well. So on game days, there has to be boundaries. I can't when I'm I don't want phone calls and stuff. That's just a little preference. I think our goal is you want all your attention on the kids at that point, and then if there's time to talk, there's going to be time to talk. But you have to partner with the parents, and because they're a big part of what everything happens now too. And you want to help with them establish a culture. They're going to help you establish a culture as well of what you're trying to accomplish. And you have them helping with fundraising, helping with, set the tone with the kids, because it starts at home. Mm-hmm. And for me, I'm not looking down at a parent or handling a parent or dealing with the parent. You have to partner with the parent. Right. But you also have to have great communication with them and honest communication with them. There's no need. People know when you're kind of not being right. You just got to be very direct and honest, and then hopefully from there you have a relationship you can build on. For sure.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I think we covered it. I think we got it. If you don't know Adam Dandrea right now, you can call him when he's going to give his phone number. Yeah. But hey, man, congratulations from the bottom of my heart.
Appreciate you,
this whole process where it has made me, I bit my nails off, but I knew it was, you were the best man for the job, and I'm so proud of you. And from being your coach 15 years ago to being your coach now. And I'm so proud of you. And I know that you're going to make a huge difference in these kids' lives. They have no idea how lucky they are. So
if I could do that, that's the goal. That would be exactly what I'm looking for, and I appreciate that.
Final word to Williamstown basketball and when your players coming on.
Let's get ready to roll. We're coming after people, man. We're ready to play. We are changing the culture, and it's going to be a day at a time, but we're ready to go. We're going to start coming after people early on. We're trying to really get after this thing, and it's going to start day one. But, just be excited about it. I want the talent. Just be excited. That's the goal. That's it. Be fired up. I appreciate it.
Let's go to work.
Yes, sir.
All right.